Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast today, Celestial Voice Unplugged. Today it's going to be about the Celestial Church. But before I go into the topic, I'd like to introduce our very first set of guests on this podcast. And we have to go to the very top because today is going to be about the Celestial Church. So the first guest is going to be Superior Evangelist Adeni from CCC North London Parish. Yeah. And the second person is Superior Evangelist David Okunboye, that's the shepherd of CCC Melbourne Parish in Australia. Sir, you're welcome. Sir. I remain. Hallelujah, sir. The other brother, Biodro Ogunshote. Today we have to use rank. We usually don't do that, but we have that is in our list. Yes. So it's brother Biodro Ogunshote. And with me I have
my brother Michael Omolaja.
Superior brother.
Superior. Welcome to our podcast, the Celestial Voice Unplugged. Let's get straight to it. I have a first question for you. I'm asking Yoruba here, I'm asking English here. It's the way we do it. Please, we'll put some subtitles on. We'll do our best to make sure you understand what we're talking about. So, question one. What's really happened socially, spiritually, politically in West Africa around 1907, when the church emerges?
Yeah, so we're trying to get a picture of what was going on in Nigeria, and even if we can extend it to West Africa, because we are going to be doing Cotonou, Nigeria. Yeah. What was going on at the time before the church emerged?
Anyone of you can answer, sir.
Okay. Alabani, you can go for it.
I mean, the honest answer, I guess I wasn't born in 1947. So, I mean, look, all I can say, pre-independence, we did have our cultures and traditions, but there were, as far as Christianity was concerned, Christianity in Nigeria was vibrant in 1947, although there were not many, how can I put it, Aladra churches, apart from the Kerubu. But in terms of Christianity, as of 1947, I would say Nigeria was predominantly, whilst we worshipped, we were predominantly following Western denominations. So your Methodist, Anglican, Catholic. So there wasn't really that much of a spread of what you would call African churches. I don't even think they were allowed to register, because I know that Celestial Church of Christ, up until it took a while. I think we were registered in 1958, and we were actually the first African church.
Oh. Can you still hear me, all of you?
Yeah.
That were registered in Africa, so in Nigeria. I wouldn't say that I was overtly or fully aware of what was the situation was prior to 1947 before. But all I can say is that that 1947, when Celestial Church of Christ was established, it seemed to be a church that resonated, with Africans. It had a blend of scriptures. It had a blend of culture, and it was easy for people to identify with it. I mean, that is as much as I can say, in all honesty, about because 1947, yeah, it's a different world to where we are
Yeah, a
now.
long time ago.
It was a very, very long time ago, in a different world to where we are now. So that really is as much as I can say on that.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
actually
let me just add more to that. Which is correct. In 1947, I wasn't born at that time, but history hasn't recorded. We were still in the colonialism, whereby the white people were basically were in the era of colonialism across Africa. Then But coming to at that time, we have Methodist and we have the Anglican, we have the Catholic, like he said, and then there was widespread of paganism, which is not new because when we go back straight to the Bible, paganism or has always been in existence. During the time of Abraham, the parents of Abraham were also worshipping idols at that time. So that wasn't anything new. So it wasn't something that was, but as we all know, you cannot serve God and Mammon together. And then what happened in 1947, which I don't know if people have done their deep research. Many Celestials, we just sing 1947, we just work at 1947. I used to remember when I was young, we say Osonjul. We look at it as a kind of like a very big miracle that would have happened and I don't know, maybe you probably will recall at that time, when when the sun is shining and the rain is falling at the same time. Àwọn bàbá a máa ń pàkọ́ ní pé ẹkùn bímọ, all those things. I don't know if you probably heard of those those things in those days. And ẹkùn bímọ, all those things like that. But I now there was a time I just said, wait a minute, this 1947, we talk about the eclipse. We talk about it 1947. But the beautiful thing is 1947 was a solar eclipse across Africa, West Africa to the East Africans at that time. Parts of Liberia, part of Nigeria, Cameroon, the Congo. That was what we call the solar eclipse that happened in 1947. So what significance of that 1947? The significance in 1947 was that was when God decided that, I am going to bring, faith. I'm going to make people to worship God. And then God chooses that. That is God's will. It is not the man-made will. It's God's will. And then we have to also understand that when God is going to choose somebody, God doesn't choose you because of your knowledge. He doesn't choose you because you are, because of you are brilliant. God always chooses people who will obey, who will listen, who will not question, who will, have a total submission to Him. And that was what happened. God, if you remember this, if you go and read the history of Oshofa, he was a Methodist, but God decided to choose Papa Oshofa because he knows that Oshofa will be that. The same way he chooses David. He said, I've chosen a man, David, out of from a man of my whole heart. And he knew why he chose David. So God knew why he chose Oshofa. So that Celestial Church of Christ, so to be, will come into the world and we cleanse the world. So it is to God's glory to bring salvation and salvation to mankind, and that's where Celestial Church of Christ came to the world, and that is why it will never change. That word cannot be erased. That this church will cleanse the world. How he's going to do it, we don't know. What he's going to do, we don't know. But we can see glimpses of that Celestial Church of Christ is going to cleanse the world. And people still don't understand it from our hymns. How many of us have had? How many of us have had before, even now that you are born, and then you're looking back in your history? How many churches sing Yara Sara? Nobody has had it before. All those things are something that God's actually. So you could tell that these are even in those churches they don't understand it. So there are many things that God has promised that He was going to do, and He found somebody of His own heart, and Edusi, and that person was Samuel Bilewu Joseph Oshofa in 1947. And even he doesn't even know the magnitude
Sir,
of
we're
what
still
he was
coming
put to do.
to
Such a
Papa Oshopa in the next question. So we don't want
okay,
to,
okay,
we're still coming
yeah,
to Gideon
that is
Papa.
just about the 1947.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the 1947, it was a solar eclipse in 1947. Africa at that time, like my friend said, we at the time there was a need for Africa to have for us to know who God is and to serve God, to bring salvation, and that was what happened. God bless.
Yeah. So I have a question for Superior Evangelist Adeni. Is because the explanation he gave was kind of where my mind also was going to. But Olujo broke down some other part of it. Yeah. But the question was, would you say that um, Africa or Nigeria specifically, and probably um, our neighboring countries, gravitated quickly towards like Celestial Church because it was a bit more, a bit more familiar because of the cultural fusion we had with scripture. Would you say that that's what maybe made people gravitate towards it more than the other Orthodox churches that were already around at the time?
Well, okay. So one of the things that, and if you read the Constitution and historical documents about Celestial Church of Christ, there was a fear from the Europeans or the European established churches that if, and which is why they resisted, it took a while for the church to be registered. There was a resistance because it was felt that if a church was like with an African flavor, an African one that we can identify with, if it takes a foothold, um, then a lot of these Western um, churches, your Anglican, Methodist, etc., they would lose the influence that they have over Africans. Um, and when Celestial Church of Christ came, it wasn't even so much. I mean, yes, the culture, etc., was there, but the movement was very powerful in that you could see the manifestation of the Holy Spirit um, working through Presbyterian Shofar. And we'll come on to it in a moment. So, if it's been ordained by God, then it will come to pass, irrespective of whether um, its culture is something that you can identify with. But ultimately, it was easy to transcend or to translate. Um, Mind you, it's worth stressing that even when Celestial Church of Christ was established, that there were many skeptics. Again, we'll come on to that. There were many skeptics. And Papa S. B. Joseph, I did face, even from within Republic of Benin, he did face challenges, which many people saying was an occultist, etc. And the powers that he was using were demonic to a degree. Same accusation that was pointed at Jesus Christ himself. So, but you can't fight what God has established. It's a losing battle. Um, and even though it meant that for the church to really fully establish, it had to go out of its confinement from Republic of Benin to, to Nigeria. But yes, it was something that people identified with. It was easy for us to assimilate. It was in our local dialects, etc. But the most important thing, why it took a foothold. It was because it was established by Jesus Christ himself. And that is the key thing that we need to take. Because there are lots of even before Sele and after Sele, lots of churches, etc., that have been established and they're no more. Um, that's because it wasn't ordained with authority from the Father. So, yes, culture, tradition to a degree, but primarily because it was established by Christ.
Thank you very much, Sal. We are going to be having you back for a couple of more episodes because we're still going to go into SPG Oshofa himself and some other topics. So I would like to say thank you for taking out your time to actually record this with us. I don't know if I have something to say.
No, I have nothing to say. I agree with everything he said. It makes sense to me. But I'm new as well, so this is like
So it's like a learning curve for you to
yes,
say.
yes, exactly.
And just like you, there are other people, even in Australia that we are now,
Yeah.
that probably are not really familiar with Celestial Church. So when this video goes out, they can actually understand the origin of Celestial Church.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one of so many series of videos that we're going to be doing on Celestial Church. Yes. So thank you, Sars, for joining us.
You're welcome.
So
Thank you for watching us.
okay, sir.
Okay.
So everyone, thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Um,
Drop a comment if you agree or disagree.
whatever questions you have about the church that we haven't addressed, please watch the other videos just in case we've addressed it there.
Yeah.
Read your Bible, pray every day. Knowledge you can get,
Yeah.
understanding God gives you. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you.
Stay blessed.
Stay blessed.
Thank you.
Delving into harvest. That's one of the most popular days of any Celestial Church calendar. As a matter of fact, sometimes we don't even publicize it, but you see the videos of different harvests trending on social media up and down. And sometimes we see things these days that probably we didn't used to do before. Just like when we do nights, musical nights, that we do in most parishes, they do it on Friday night. They invite different musical artists. In some churches, when you go there, you don't know if you are in a church or it's like a Fuji concert.